The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Pandoras Box Mystique integration webinar. As you can see behind me, this is not a kitchen as you are used to. I am actually sitting now right here in our demo room in the office together with Thomas, who is going to hold the webinar today about Mystique integration. This is a bit new format, so we are trying to integrate a bit more hardware and camera systems and fancy stuff into our webinar, so it's a bit more exciting. You will probably be excuse us if something goes a little wrong. So this is the first time we are trying this out. Okay, Thomas, would you like to start telling us something about Mystique integration?
Yes, welcome everybody, and welcome to our training room. Welcome back. Today today's webinar is a bit about the Mystique integration into Pandoras Box. Today I want to speak you through Mystique, how it works, or with which projectors it directly works, how it works with Pandoras Box, which versions are available, and some Mystique video tutorials which are available. I want to give you a hint about that. About our setup, I will show you a bit around here. And finally, the workflow, and we will see Mystique in action here. And finally, a question and answer round. So there you can put your questions. Maybe you can put your questions in between also. I will ask Janina for your questions from time to time. Yeah, let's directly dive into our contents. So Mystique is an optical or camera-based calibration tool used for warping on projectors directly and also with Pandoras Box. There are some projectors available which are supported by Mystique. This is the HS series, the Boxer 4K30, 4K20 series, the D4K40, of course, and the Rode, the Crimson series, the Mirage, and the Eclipse. So on these projectors, you can directly use the Mystique application and the camera on those projectors to adjust your screens. And there are some video tutorials I will give you, or Janine will give you a link in the chat for that. So you can see how it works directly with projectors. And today, this is mostly about how Mystique works with Pandoras Box, and it's directly integrated. And it's a camera-based alignment and calibration tool for large-scale projections. That's what we have a look at today. There are some versions. You can find it on the Christie webpage. Just a small cut out of it for you to see here. So there is the essential version, which supports one camera, maximum of 12 projectors, and on a flat screen only. The Pro Venue Edition, this is what we go for today, is also only works with one camera, so one calibration camera, let's call it that. And you can add unlimited number of projectors, and it works for flat surfaces and cylindrical surfaces. And there are two more editions, the Premium Edition and the Large Scale Experience Edition. These are multiple camera based. So this is about a real 3D setup involving 3D models of the venue and things like that, or of the screens at least, whatever your screen is. Maybe it's an object or something like that. Whatever you want to project on, then you are on these versions. And as far as I know, this also is a Christie service and not a product only. So far for the versions. Are there already some questions about that?
Not yet.
Right, then let's go through. There's the link for the video tutorials if you want to have a look at how Mystique works with projectors directly. Yeah, so let's have a look at our setup here. So what I have here is we project on a curved screen. Christian has to get a bit quicker there. So we have a curved screen where we project on. We have up to 2 projectors. I think I will start with one for first. So I have the first run with just 1 projector, but take the second to have a blend there. We have a manager machine here, and we have a dual server there to output or to feed those 2 projectors. And this is the camera for the calibration for Mystique. Everything else is about the uploading, the streaming process here. So I'm connected here. This is my manager screen. You will see that later, picture in picture in the screen, in your screen, and also a laptop for Mystique application. So that's our setup. And yeah, now we're good to dive into the action, how it works. Christian, can you please change that people can see the screen? Thank you. No, not that screen, but you can make me a bit smaller. For first, I want to show the Mystique screen. Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah, there's the update. Bit slow. So when you open or when you start the Mystique install application, you will get that starting screen. And in the top right, bottom right corner down there, down there, you can see Pandoras Box Manager. So Mystique application is able to directly connect to Pandoras Box Manager, and we'll see that in a few moments. Yeah, let's start with the new smooth screen layout. So this is a guide through everything, so we can set up everything very nicely. So the first thing we have to do is to add projectors. So this is the point where you can add projectors, or you can add Pandoras Box outputs, right? Why is it not? Well, let's dive in here. There we go. So I've started already a project in Pandoras Box, where maybe we can make it a bit larger, or you can see it maybe also in the small screen. So there's in the device tree down here, there is the server already added. So Mystique is able to recognize these outputs. All right, so and for now, as this is actually a quad server, not a dual server, sorry for that. I'm just adding, oh, let's start with 1 projector. So I select the first output as an output for Mystique also. Next thing I do is add the camera into the Mystique project. So it finds it directly, it's connected to the network. The IP addresses have to fit together, of course. And if everything on the network is set up correctly, so this IP address is matching now, I can add it to my project, and the camera is now visible on screen here. So next thing, it's the screen. We are actually projecting on a cylindrical thing, and I measured it already. It was visible when you looked at the curved screen earlier. So, I did not measure those things though. What did I put in there? Let's leave it like that for now. Or let's put it to automatical, that's much better. With the automatic mode, I'm now able to adjust the edges of the screen very precisely on my real screen through the camera. So let's put it there, and if I press Control, I'm able to zoom in there and be more precise. And I'm about the yellow dot because the blue line will shift with the dots. So I put the yellow dots as exact as possible on the edges of my screen. There we go. I have to leave a bit there. There's a bit white going around. So just this one. Let's check that one. That's good. I push it a bit in there so not to overshoot. And that's now I've set up my screen size so that Mystique knows exactly where the picture has to go, right? So layout, I just selected one projector here, so there's not much to do here. It's a one-by-one setup, no overshooting, nothing like that. So now I reset everything on Pandoras Box for now. There we go. So that I can see only one image. So let's put out the second output, and I'll go and move the projector that it hits the full screen, right?
While you are adjusting the projector, we have an interesting question coming in. So
Yeah.
how important is it to place the camera nearest as possible to the projector?
Well, as you can see in the image here, in the camera image, unfortunately you cannot see my mouse, so I press the control button to point it out a bit, and then it's zooming. The nearer you are, the better your resolution is in the end for calculating the test patterns, which you will see later on. So if those, if you can better see or you have more resolution on that, it's better, it's more accurate to calculate these. That's the reason to go the most possible near the screen.
That answered that question. And I have another one following up. So what I can see right here in the studio is that the camera is, well, about 3 to 4 meters away from the screen. But in the image we can see in the Mystique interface, it does look very small. So my question is, what variation do we have with cameras if we need to have the camera very far away, because that's what our setup requires, but I need a big accuracy, so I need the screen large in the camera picture. What do we do then?
I think, I'm not sure, unfortunately, but I think there are different optics available for the camera. So there you can already have different optics, and I think also zoom optics. I'm not sure about that though. But different optics, of course, you can adjust the distance of the camera.
Okay. Oh, I just saw that one of our colleagues, Justin from Canada, just answered that we have 3 different lens choices.
Ah, thank you, Justin.
And 2 different camera versions.
2 different camera versions. Okay, that's good information. Thank you. Always welcome. All right. So I adjusted the projector a bit. So now you can see that the image of the projector hits the whole screen. And now we're ready to go. I skipped these options there. I don't need them for now. Because black level blending, that's about blend options, multiple projectors and things. And yeah, some more options there. Let's do the first run. And maybe, Christian, you can change the camera view that people can see what's going on in Pandoras Box and Mystique together. And yeah, no, the other one, Mystique, and the large camera pip, and then you can change the camera to view the screen. Oh, it's this direction. This direction. Thank you. So, and now I press the run button, and I just leave Mystique doing its thing. So what Mystique is doing, you can see maybe a bit in Pandoras Box. It creates some meshes and some textures which are used to draw these test patterns, of course. And finally, also the warping. This is not an object in the case of Mystique, but it's calculated via a texture. So we're using a texture inside Pandoras Box to have the correct information how the warp is done. Of course, you can you have to figure out lightings and things like that. That depending on your setup, it may be difficult with different light circumstances. And for the calibration phase, when the test pattern are running, it's good to avoid people running through the screen. So everything is calculated now. And a short moment to save all these things and to push it to Pandoras Box directly. It's done in an active way, so you can see all the red things going on in Pandoras Box. So it's actively added to the parameters. And that's the final result, actually. I'm just wondering why I'm not accurate on that. Right, but in fact, the first thing, as you can see, oh, I think I have an idea about that. So this is a bit too big, my picture. No. Or is that? This is correct. Sorry, I'm a bit lagging some information why it's going wrong. So in what you can see already is that the image is correctly warped. The size is a different question actually, because it's stretched a bit. I have to figure out why and hope to be able to give you an answer later, but actually I have no idea. Where was I? But in fact, the warping itself seems correct, right? So and if I go for let's check the scale. If I press in the scale, yeah, then you can see that the result is good. So all the warping is done correctly. Yeah, it's just the size. It's 0.85. Maybe I have to calculate, because the width of the full texture, I have to figure that out. Maybe, I don't know how we will do that. Maybe we add something on when the video is going on the YouTube channel after we figure that out. But for now, I try to keep on doing the webinar and doing some more stuff. And yeah, so if you have questions for that, that's a good point. But the question with the scale, please. Anything?
I still need to figure something out.
All right. So in between, Christian, can you make Pandora's box screen big, please? I want to show you where those files are going. So the files Mystique is creating for Pandora's box, they will go into the assets folder of the projects folder. So that's my project. I saved it in the projects folder, Christie Content Projects, and the save workflow will automatically create the assets folder, and I really like to use it because it's very quickly accessible here. So I have direct access to that folder always in the assets tree. And this is also the place where Mystique will put the files. So for now, for the next setup, I will delete all those. We start from the very beginning. So now I also will reset all these things here. So reset everything, get it back there. And I will shift the projector again and start a new project for Mystique. So let's set that projector. These projectors, I set them to cross each other, and I let a little bit of gap left and right. So as you can see, maybe I put a different pattern on that you can see it more clearly. So actually, the projector from the left is projecting to that side, and the right projector is projecting on the left side here. And we have a huge blend area. Also, this is a task for Mystique. So Mystique will also calculate the blend area. And yeah, let's see if the final result is something we can use. So, Christian, can you change to Mystique large, please? Thank you. So back to Mystique, we do the same workflow again. So I go for a new smooth screen layout. This time I add 2 cameras. Sorry. Little bit of time to find these connections. Search complete. What? Nice. Maybe I will give it a complete restart. I don't know actually what's going on.
While you are restart, do you have your mind
Yes.
free for a little question?
Sure.
So, do you have to set the points for every projector for alignment, or would only one be enough and Mystique will do the rest?
So what we set is the whole screen, and the screen applies to all projectors, of course, because it's related to the camera perspective. So we set up the screen for the camera, for the calibration camera, and not for the projectors itself, right? And that's why we just have to set it once, if that is the question.
Yes, that was it. Thank you.
Welcome. So now it's working. So I choose output 1 and 2 for now. And camera, add the camera. There it is. And go for the screen again. One, two, three, 4 edges. Always the edges first, like the manual warping. Always do the edges first. There we go. So you can unlock the radius. I think this is, yeah, then you have these lines separate, so you can adjust them separately. That's this checkbox for here, this checkbox. So aligned good. And I think that's good too. Yeah, looks nice. All right, that's it for now. And now the layout. So for the layout, this is not stacked. So we're doing what is it? 1 by 2. Yeah, that's it. 1 by 2. So 1 projector left, 1 projector right, and the overlap. That's a really nice thing now, as we can see these red lines here. And with these red lines, I can now try to adjust my overlap to where it really is, right? So I cannot overshoot here. So that's, I think, the maximum. It's 84% overlap, and the 84%, they go for, this is 84% for the screen, so for one projector. This is from this red line here to the edge. This is 84%. You have to be careful about that when you calculate ratios and screen settings with that. So that's our blend area set up, and I skip black level blending again, so you can maybe have a short look in there. I don't use it. I don't like it, to be honest. Yeah, you can make everything look a bit more worse, that the final result is maybe a bit more homogeneous. Can you say it? Homogeneous? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that's the black level blending for. So I leave that for now. That's maybe a different webinar we can speak about these things. So, and now we're good to press the run button again. And there we go. So it's doing the same thing we saw earlier. You can maybe change the picture again. But now, of course, for both projectors, right? Because both projectors have to be calculated separately or individually to have different warps, and the final result then should match very well together. That's our goal. For next time, we have to remember to have some music for some boring parts.
We're going to order a musician for next time.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
While we are waiting, I have a question. Is it possible to mask things in Mystique, or would that then be a part you would only do in Pandora?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think there is, but I'm not sure. And I actually cannot see it. I will not mess things up and click around now, so I leave the calibrating going on for now. Of course, you can do maskings in Pandoras Box, and I also want to recommend doing that there, because on the Pandoras Box side you have more flexibility than if you include things in the warp. It should be possible because the blend is calculated, so in theory, there is the possibility to have some black spots on there, but yeah. So there's a huge blend, of course, around the screen itself. So all these parts, they will be blended, right? So there's a blend to where I mark the screen in the camera.
While we were just watching the calibration process, there were white and purple pixels. Could you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, the purple. So the white. No, let's load from the back. The final result, you see white. Everything what is marked white is inside the screen, and it's recognized properly by Mystique. Everything what is purple is outside the screen. You put in there, so the calibrating of the camera screen, right? Either it's out there or it's not recognized properly, or the camera can't see it, or something like that. And these points are indicated purple.
Okay, so for example, if I had a complicated 3D model or something and the camera couldn't see a part within the 3D model that is supposed to be mapped, then it would also display a purple square, right?
Yes,
okay.
For example. So we have a result there. And let me switch to the other test pattern there. And let's see how it works now. So that's the result. So we can see the blend is correct already, and the geometry isn't looking too bad also. The only thing actually is that I have two pictures of Pandora's box which are not matching, which fit not together. And this is something I still have to do manually because Mystique is not calculating these. Can you please switch to PB large? Thank you. So now for this setup in Pandora's box, I have to adjust the camera offsets to make this to fit those two screens together. Because what you can see here, if I put in the cameras, that's how they actually look on the project. And as I am now projecting in a blend mode, I also have adjust the cameras the same way. And that's what I do now. I go for the cameras. I go for the align tool here at the bottom. And then I change the X offset for the cameras until the images fit together. There we go. And this is now the final result. You can maybe change the camera to big again. For the whole calculation of, can make it real big without the tools. Thank you. So this actually is the final result, right? So the blend is calculated, and yeah, you're not here, but you can trust there's no augmented reality things going on here, of course. So that's actually the picture. And if I take away one projector, you can also see the blend, right? So this is the right projector, and this is the left projector. You see that? Sorry. So Mystique has some more tools on board. So we can draw some test patterns here. If I go for the test pattern menu, so I can draw different test patterns, or I can just say the warps only, so I'm able to see my my blend areas more properly. So I can now also check how accurate is my my screen adjustment now. And as you can see, maybe I can also change for a different test pattern. Like, let's put something like the high pixel raster high. Let's put that on here. And you can see the accuracy. Can you zoom in a bit, please? The accuracy of the final result. Yeah, without a blend. So you can maybe see, it's hard to see. Can you switch for the big camera picture again? It's hard to see the blend area. So it's about here. So it's that, yeah, that's there's the end of the blend. Yeah. So on this, you can see it if I put it put me in front of the projector. This is the blend area, right? So, and this is the workflow. And finally, I now can, of course, save all these parameters on the sequence. So I go for my sequence tab, go for the correct spot on the sequence, and I press store active. And there now I have everything included or stored on my sequence. Of course, I can also use setup sequences for this. And if something happens, I go back to Mystique, press the calibration button again, and I'm back in a few minutes, let's say. Yeah, that's more or less everything about the Pandoras Box and Mystique workflow. Any questions?
Yes, there's a pretty good one. So what you just did with aligning the two cameras, you did only by eye, which is actually pretty exact. But is there a display or something like that in Mystique that tells you how much that offset is in pixels? Or do you have to do it just by visually trying to get it best?
You can calculate everything by the overlap, let's say. So the issue you have there, or the not issue, but the thing is that Mystique is looking through one camera from the front. So for Mystique, this is a 2D setup, right? It's looking from the front, and it's from this camera, it's flat. That also counts for the overlap calculation, right? So the overlap calculation in Mystique is also based on a 2D. But if you measure these things, so you know exactly where you are here, so where your picture is, that's independent from the camera, right? So the picture will end here, and you can measure this size, and then you know, if you do it for both, how far they are from each other, and then you can calculate your positions from that on. Mostly, so in most shows situations, my experience is that the adjustment by eye is sufficient for that. But you can calculate, of course.
Okay, great. And another question about the files that Mystique creates. Where exactly are they stored?
I showed that earlier. I can do it again. So the important thing is to save your show file before you start doing things. And after you stored your project, you'll find a folder with your project name on your hard drive. And within that folder, you will find, of course, the file for the Pandoras Box project, the Pandoras Box project file, and an assets folder. And this is the place where Mystique saves all the files to, which are used in Pandoras Box. And the manager will, of course, spread this information through the network to the clients.
Okay, and another question. If I am recalibrating something, so I had my setup, I set everything up in Pandoras Box, and both are communicating well, and then I'm recalibrating my setup. Is there a new file being created, or is it going to overwrite the old one?
As far as I know, it's overwriting these files, so they will always be replaced. you don't need the old ones. You will never go back to those. So if you shift the projector, you will never go back to something warped earlier. So I can do that quickly if you want. So I jump around here and I hit the projector and I think, oh no, everything is destroyed. But what I do is I press the button again, run. I can leave it, I think. And the test patterns are running through again, and after they run through again, everything is coming back where it was.
Mm-hmm.
More questions?
Oh yes, there are more questions. Also
That's
about
great.
about the files for Pandora's Box. So wait a minute. So first is it possible to transform one of those Mystique mesh files into an editable mesh file and edit it ourselves at some other place? And going along with that, can those files be moved to other Pandora's Box project easily, just as a file, upload it in another project, and then be happy?
No and yes.
Okay, so we cannot make an editable mesh out of it?
Yes, because it's a texture.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So Mystique is not creating objects, yeah, but textures, and we have a special parameter for Mystique here, and this is the blend file. Here, this is the pixel warp. And this parameter we are using for Mystique. The second thing was
if you can just take the file.
Yes, of course you can use that. These are just files. Of course you can use it in a different project if you have to.
Okay, that was it for now with the questions, but please continue to write some questions if you have any.
Yeah, you're very welcome to ask some more questions.
Oh, another hint I just got from Sam from the US about the purple pixels that we have is that they also occur if we have different lighting situations, for example, and there are strange reflections that make the calibration and the visualization.
Yes, true. So always if it's not recognizable for Mystique, so if there's not enough contrast or something like that, then these pixels are purplish. So as you can see now, the pixel warp was added here, and the final result, there we are back again. Good to go for the show. And this was, if it was 2 minutes, well, back online. All right.
I have one more little comment from our colleague Justin.
That's always welcome.
And he says that if you're using Christie projectors who have Mystique integration, then it can run all of these test patterns in about 4 seconds. And they're actually working on making them run even faster, like in 1 second. So if you're using the native projection for that, it's going to be even faster than Mist.
Yeah, I think there are ways to make things faster. I'm not using Mystique very often, unfortunately, so I'm not the best guy to explain all of this, but I hope this little webinar was good for you and that you got some information on Mystique and Pandora's Box and how they work together. Yeah, and I hope to see you back again on the next webinar, where you can switch again to the PowerPoint. Thank you, Chris. Yes, well, so if there are not more questions, then we're finished for today.
Okay.
Are we?
We have
You
a
can
couple more incoming, so we're definitely going to stay online a bit more and going to answer them.
I have some minutes we have for live questions, if you want to.
Okay, so there's another one from Sam. Can you explain how you can move the projector without adjusting the blend or the yellow or blue dots? So you just moved the projector and you didn't have to do all the recalibration in the Mystique interface again.
How? No, I don't think that's possible, because all the on the calibration, all the calculations are based how the warp has to be done. So you need to run these test patterns.
Oh, I think what he meant was when we were setting up the camera and you adjusted those blue points to the screen. I think that's it.
Yeah. You don't have to. There was another option. Maybe you saw that. I can go back to that, and Christian can maybe show the Mystique again. So for the screen, there is the option to do it manually. And if you do it manually, you can put in all the measurings for your screen. Also, if you go for flat screens, for example, you just put in the measures. And then you can do it also manually. Anything more?
Yes, incoming, lots of questions still incoming. Wait a moment. Are the final settings going to be lost at the end of the day when the room is shut down?
When what is shut down?
When the room is shut down, so when you switch everything off.
No. The files, as you were able to see earlier, are stored on the hard drive. And when you open up Pandoras Box again, those files will be loaded. So you don't have to load Mystique or whatever again if nothing changed on your setup. So when the screen isn't moving, the projectors are not moving, then you can just load your project file and you're good to go. Something more?
Let me check. Oh, yes, there is something. Okay, so when you were adjusting the blend of the two projectors, can we select and drag the marking points for the blending part?
Yeah, I can. What I can do is in the screen setup, if I switch back to automatic and cylinder, there we go. Let me quickly or roughly put it back again. Not very accurate now. But what you can see is this red line here, which goes around. And this line, you can adjust it in the layout. And this is based, so this only appears if you go for a blend setup. And then you can set up the blend area. And the blend area, that's, I think, the question. You can adjust the blend area however you want it. So I also can do it smaller here. Yeah, and now if I do it that way, the projectors will be blended to that, and there will be completely blended to this spot, and then have a nice blending in between both projectors and this area in the middle. There. All right. Cool. I think we'll finish this webinar. Thank you for listening. And yeah, Janina, last words.
Well, thank you very much for showing everything so intricately. This was a great webinar, and I think it was a pretty cool setup we had today. So with all the changing screen and camera positions, we're going to do that a bit more often.
Yeah, I think so.
Feels like a success.
Let's see.
Everyone, thank you very much for listening and watching. If you are interested in more information, or if you have any additional questions that might be a bit harder to answer, don't think about it. Just send us a mail to our regular support team, and we're going to try to answer your questions and help you.
Sure.
If you are interested in reviewing this video, we're going to upload it soon on our YouTube channel. So just enter Pandoras Box Learn on YouTube and you'll find our channel where every other webinar is also hosted as well. And yes, if there are any additional questions, if you think of anything else, just continue writing. We're going to stay online for a few more minutes and try to answer everything that you have. Okay, thank you. Stay safe and goodbye.
Thank you. Cheers.